Welcome to another episode of Women Investing in Women. Robin and I take great joy and pleasure to talk to different women from different walks of life to showcase how they are making an impact in both their lives and the lives of other women. Why is it important for us to think about this, talk about this, and shine the light on this? Is because how a woman gets to show up in the world determines how the family is going to thrive and how the entire society is going to set up itself for success. When we lift up a woman, we lift up a family, and therefore we actually establish a very responsible and caring society. And that is where we want to start today. What is it going to take each of us to understand what it means to make a woman feel safe, secure, so that she can fly towards her dreams with her capabilities and skills to then turn around and make this world a better place for other women, their families, and at a large scale, our shared community. Take it away, Robin.
All right. I am so happy to have Ashley Garland as our guest today, and she is with Faith House. And I learned about this organization through a little magazine called Guideposts, which my parents had while I was growing up, and I've been ordering now as an adult myself for many decades, a very small but very inspirational magazine. And I read about Faith House and about Ashley. And so tell us, Faith House is part of the Rescue Mission. So tell us, how is it that Faith House was established, and how did you become involved with it?
Thank you so much, Robin. It's wonderful to be here, and Dr. Kez, thank you so much for having us this morning. So Faith House is a ministry arm of the Frederick Rescue Mission, and we actually have two campuses. So the main campus of the Rescue Mission is in one location, and then Faith House is on another location. Both of those locations were actually used to hold people who were incarcerated, and so there are remnants of those jail cells in both buildings, but there's a redemptive pattern that has taken place in both of those locations, and so lives are now being transformed and changed in both of those places. And so at Faith House, we are a program for women and women with children who are experiencing homelessness. And we're employment focused. We have two programs within Faith House. And one of those programs is our Thriving Futures program. It's a 90-day program where we bring women in and we give them a safe place to heal. Because every woman that comes to Faith House has been on a different journey. Some of them have experienced domestic violence. Some of them are just fleeing those abusive situations. Some have found themselves in the middle of a divorce with nothing to their name, and they're living in their vehicles. Some are on a journey of recovery, and they need a place that is stable, that they can regain custody of their children. And so the case for each one of them is different, but they've all experienced some form of trauma. And so Faith House gives them a place where they can heal from all of those things that contributed to their trauma. And we focus on housing, employment, and resiliency. And so our residents all receive wraparound support to help in those three areas, so that they can lead a strong, independent, resilient woman. So we help them find a job within those first 90 days. They secure employment. Once they've had that employment for 2 consecutive months, they're eligible to apply for our transitional living program, which is a 12-month program where a woman or a woman with children is able to apply for an apartment. We have an apartment complex behind our main house, and those women get to walk into a fully furnished apartment that is absolutely beautiful. And that is a new space where they're able to live and create new memories for themselves and for their children while they're at the Faith House. And so that kind of kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of the two programs that we offer while women are here. They receive therapeutic conversations with our case manager and our program specialist. We have a women's mentoring group that just finished up a 5-week session of mentoring for our women here. And then they go through a series of recovery courses, financial literacy courses, home ownership courses, just to give them an idea of some of the skills that they can build while they're here. We also have a learning center at the Faith House where women can come in on a weekly basis. They can work on building their resume. They can apply for jobs. They can also work on completing their GED, which a lot of our women who come through our program work on completing that. And they can also work on college courses and applying for those classes at the community college. So it's a great place for them to come, not only to heal, but to build the skills that are necessary for them to be successful as they move forward.
That is so powerful and yet so fundamentally humane. It just moves me hearing you talk about it. What do you find to be the biggest challenge these women face? Because they're not just trying to rehabilitate themselves and rise up like a phoenix out of this circumstances they've found themselves in. Most of them have children. And children don't always understand. And there is guilt. There is so many other elements involved in this. It's not just one person. What are some of the challenges these women face, and how are you able to help them navigate it?
That's a great question. We often find that one of the challenges women have when they first come into the program is that first week, they will apologize for being completely exhausted. And we share with them, it's okay for you to be tired, because they're finally in a place where they're at peace. We've had women share with us, I was able to sleep so well, I didn't feel like I had to lock my door last night. And they're finally in a place that they don't feel threatened. And so all of the things that have built up over the years that they've had to deal with, they're now in a place where they can lay those things aside and they can work on experiencing healing in their life. And so we have some mommy's helpers who come to the Faith House who help those moms, because it's a lot for them to juggle. It's a lot for any woman, right? To juggle being a mom and having a career and building your home. And so we have some mommy's helpers who come to the Faith House who help those moms when they're preparing dinner, and they will play with the kids and they'll read them stories. And for some of our moms, it gives them a chance to see how they can parent, because some of them have walked through phases where, because of the situation they found themselves in, their kids were removed, or maybe they had to voluntarily give them up because they didn't have anywhere to live. And so they're reunited with their children at Faith House. And we offer parenting classes once a month for those moms to learn how to get involved with their children, how to raise them up. And it's just beautiful to watch that transition. But that's a huge challenge for them when they come in, is learning how to balance all of those pieces and realizing that it's okay. Sometimes we're going to mess up. None of us is perfect. And just trying to do the best that we can. And so we try to encourage them in that as much as we can.
That is really a beautiful comment. I love that, what you said at the very beginning, lay aside and lay down and put behind you these things. What would you say is the biggest challenge, and how do you help them deal with that in being able to set it down? It's one thing to being a safe place and to have all these resources around you. It's another thing to change your mindset so that you can fully take advantage and use all of these resources that are there. And I know from personal experience, there's a tendency to hold on and not really realize, oh, yes, I am in a safe place. Yes, I can set this down. So what is the process that you help women go through in changing their mindset so they can set it down and fully utilize everything that you're giving them?
So our women go through a series of assessments when they come into the Faith House. We do a screening for ACEs, the Adverse Childhood Experiences. And a lot of the women, when they first come in, they'll say, oh, I haven't experienced any of those things. And then as we start to unpack their lives, they start realizing, oh, wow, I really did experience some trauma. I really did go through some things in my life. And it gives us an opportunity to kind of unpack some of those details. We also use a LifeWorks matrix. We have 23 points on that matrix where we measure anything from employment to relationships and how their family dynamics are and all of those things that contribute to the weight that they do carry through life. A lot of times it's that weight of shame, maybe situations that they were desperate and found themselves in, and now they're carrying that shame with them. And so we really try to work with them in those therapeutic sessions to unpack life together. We always say that they're in the driver's seat. And so if there's an area we start talking about and they're just not comfortable with it in the moment, we'll just let it sit with them and we'll revisit it when they come back for another meeting. But in that first 90 days, it's really a time for them to view themselves, not through their own eyes, not through the lens of who they think they are, but the lens of who God has created them to be and the potential that they have to be an incredible woman. And sometimes they don't see that. They don't see the potential that they carry, but we try to mentor them and encourage them in that as much as possible.
I can actually see the joy and passion you have for this just jumping out of the screen. It's just coming out of you in the way you just show up. So the question that's coming up for me, Ashley, is what got you into this space to create a safe space for women, put them through their transformation to find their true calling and to live their purpose in life. And in finding your place here, also how have you transformed in this journey of transforming other women?
Yes, so it has certainly been a journey. Sometimes we look back at our lives and there's those pieces that we question, why did I have to go through this? Why did I have to endure this? But we come out on the other side and we realize we're still standing. We're still going day to day. We're still getting through. And I walked through a series. I had an abusive marriage. And at the time, I didn't want to think of it as that, but just in so many ways, verbally, emotionally, eventually some physical abuse as well, and found myself in just such a desperate place, feeling like I was completely alone, that I didn't have support. I was afraid to talk to anyone about what was going on because I was ashamed that is what my life was. And I think in some ways felt that it was my fault. And we see that with a lot of women that come in. It's not their fault. And that's that guilt and that shame that's placed on them. And so I walked through that for several years and finally got the courage to leave and take my son. I have an 11-year-old son. And we left that environment. And I just started on my own healing journey. And when I moved to Frederick about 7 years ago, I found this amazing place called Faith House. It had just opened not long before that, and I was able to meet the director and just really see how I could get involved, because I wanted to invest in women that had walked a journey very similar to the one that I had just come through. And I found that in those moments of being able to speak into women's lives, it helped me heal, because I was able to realize where I was in those moments and remembered what it was that I needed to hear from someone to give me that glimmer of hope that everything was going to be okay, that I could do it, that I was going to make it. And so last year, the position opened at Faith House. They were looking for a new director. And I just kind of went back and forth a little bit within myself, thinking, is this really what I'm supposed to do? Am I really going to make a difference? And the door just continued to open, and I just had such confirmation that this was the place where I needed to be. And so I took advantage of that opportunity, and it has been such an amazing journey, just being able to watch women come in through the doors of Faith House that are so burdened, that are just so encumbered with life, not knowing how they're going to make it another day, especially when they have children, and watching their heads rise, watching them stand tall with their shoulders back as they build confidence and they realize that they're not in this alone. And so I love Dr. Kaz, what you said about just showing up, because I think sometimes that is the greatest thing that we as women can do, is just show up and just be present for another woman. Sometimes just being there to listen and just be that sounding board is what they need. And so I think that is something, it's a challenge for all of us sometimes, just to be present and show up for those in our lives that need it, probably more than what we realize.
That is an amazing story, that you walked the path that these women walked, and now you're helping them walk that path and giving them the many, many resources that you did not have. Mm-hmm. That is just an amazing story. And I would say your role as director is absolutely perfect, because you have gone through those experiences. And you touched a little bit briefly on how your life is blessed because of your association. And I'm wondering if you can expand on that a little bit, on how have you seen changes in yourself from having to go back and relive, to an extent, what you went through in the process of helping these women know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. You can cross this bridge, you can get across this river. So how, in what additional ways do you feel like your life has been enlarged because of your position, and going back and looking back and then walking forward with these women?
It's a great question. I think initially when I started out, there were a lot of triggers, a lot of things that kind of take you back, and you start reliving some of those moments as you listen to these women unpacking their life and what it is that they're experiencing, and you start kind of going back in your mind to what that was like, to what that felt like. I can remember there was a time in my life that I could not look at myself in the mirror because I just felt so worthless because of what I was experiencing. And so hearing some of those stories, it takes you back to what it felt like to be in that place where you just felt so desperate, and just everything around felt so dark. It didn't seem like there was a light at the end of the tunnel at all. But being able to go back and kind of relive some of those things, I think it gives us the opportunity, it's given me the opportunity to look back over my life and see how all of those pieces have been put together for good. All of the things that I wished I'd never walked through are now being used for a purpose. And it's just incredible to see how that, it's like a tapestry that is woven together, and everything is used for good. Nothing is ever wasted in our life. And so being able to look back at that, but also being able to look back and see how those experiences helped me grow to where I am now, that I'm able to look at those situations and things that seem so desperate and so hopeless, I'm able to look at now and say, no, there is hope, because we made it. We got through this. And so whatever's on the other side, we can get through that as well. And I think it just gives us the perseverance and the determination that we need to keep moving forward when we're able to look back and revisit some of those things.
Absolutely. And just listening to you, I am getting goosebumps, Ashley. And watching you, I'm asking myself, women who have everything, people who have everything with none of these challenges, don't know how to show up happy. And yet here you are showing up happy. What is it that you draw from to stay in that place of happiness, that joy, the energy around you so positive? Because that is key to making sure you don't fall apart and people around you take that energy and get lifted up. But where do you find it, and how do you go about it?
You know, I think, so Faith House it's in our name. We're a faith-based organization. And I know for myself, my faith has been that anchor that has carried me in my darkest days, in my brightest days. It's been the constant that has carried me through my life. And there were so many moments where I felt like, you know, God, are you out there? Can you see me? Do you know what's going on? Because I didn't feel like I could pick myself up off the floor and go into the next day. But there was this this hope, I think, building inside of me. My family were just very strong in their faith, and I think that they instilled those values in me. And whether I knew it or not, they were there, kind of underlying everything that was going on, and just being able to hold on to that. And be able to move forward in life. It's something that I can always go back to. And I can remember when I left my ex-husband, I was now a single mom. I didn't know where I was going to live. I had to quit my job because I couldn't afford to live where we were living before. And I had a 3-year-old son, and I didn't know where we were going to go. I didn't know what we were going to do. And I was driving down the road one day, and I just felt in my spirit the voice of the Lord saying, it's okay for you to dream. I want you to dream again. And I had lost that. I had lost what it felt like to dream and have hope for the future. But I felt that so strongly. And when I started to do that, and I started to just grab a hold of that anchor of faith in my life, it really pulled me out of the depths of despair that I found myself in. And so I think for all of us, we have to have that place that we can come to and realize we can surrender all of the weight, everything that's going on in our lives, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to someone who is greater than us, who's able to shoulder that burden.
That is so beautiful. I am a person of faith myself, and in society today, organized religion or religion, and sometimes even spirituality is poo-pooed or disparaged. And I'm so happy to hear you share your story. And I know that other people of faith will really appreciate that. And in addition to, and especially, I loved it, what you shared at the very end, where you felt that a message that it's okay to dream. It's okay to have hope. It's okay to look beyond. And that's one of the capacities that we as human beings have, is the capacity to look into the future and to feel and find hope in the future. In addition to your faith and your faith tradition, were there other elements, other mindset, or other just practical things that you did to help you stay buoyed up that other women could learn from?
Sure. I think that one of the key elements in my life from that point on, where I felt like I could dream again, I could have hope for the future again, was realizing that there's so much greatness in having accountability in our life, in having women that we can go to and we can pour our heart out to and know that they're not going to judge us. They're going to listen to what's going on with us, and they're going to offer encouragement to us. And there's that saying I'm sure you're familiar with, that behind every great man, there's a great woman. And I always tell women that I think behind every great woman, there is a great mentor, because there's someone who just speaks into your life and just pours into you in those moments when you need it the most. And that's what I found for myself, that as I was walking through that healing process, there were women that had been placed in my life all along that I was able to go to and sort of unpack some of those things that I had been through, and still to this day have those relationships. And I'm able to call them up, or I'm able to send them an email and just say, hey, this is what's going on. Can you offer some encouragement? Can you offer some guidance? And so having that support, it makes you feel like you're not going to fall. There's someone there to catch you. And so in addition to my faith, I think it's just really being able to have a support system in place to help you stay strong and help you move forward, but also challenge you as well, because those voices that are encouraging you are also going to give you some challenges and some things to think about so that you can propel into the future.
Beautifully said, Ashley. And there is research that shows that the quality of life and the fulfillment of life for a woman is directly correlated to her community, the community of sisterhood, the community of support system. And for a man, it's the quality, love, and compassion of the wife, right? So the same thing that enhances the value of a man's life is the one that diminishes the value of a woman's life. And research shows that very clearly. And I love how you brought in the importance of that sisterhood and that community. And in the spirit of building on that, how can women get a hold of you, learn about you, what you do, and if they can't reach for your help because they're not in the community, at least how can they get information on how to do it for themselves?
Absolutely. So anyone can visit our website at therescuemission.org. And on that website, there is a programs tab. And under the programs tab, you'll see a little box that says Faith House. And when you click on that, you will find ways that you can get involved, ways that you can volunteer to support our women, whether it's through administrative services, helping in the office, whether it's through childcare, helping with children while moms are in classes and different things or in meetings. Maybe a mommy's helper. It may be helping with organizing donations and supplies that come in. So there's a volunteer aspect, but there's also an aspect that women can go on and they can click a link that will allow them to fill out an application for our program. And so our applicants are all thoroughly vetted before they move into the program. We do background screening on all of them just to make sure that they're coming into a safe environment, and we want to make sure that it stays that way for all of the residents that are here. And so we have a vetting process, we have an interview process before a woman and her children move into the program. And so they can go online, they can fill out that application, and it comes directly to us. Our team will vet the application and reach out to let that woman know that we've received it. And there's a little box on there that those women can check under their phone number or their email to let us know that it's safe for us to reach out to them, and that it's safe for us to contact those numbers or those emails, because again, we want to make sure that they're safe, and that if we can't give them the safety net that they need, that we're able to refer them to a community partner who can. So on the website, it's going to have our emails. It's going to have our phone numbers that if anyone in the community wants to get involved, they can reach out that way and go through a volunteer orientation, or a woman who is in need, she can reach out that way as well and complete an application.
Beautiful. It's wonderful how you're making it so accessible for so many people to be involved in so many ways. Every single interview, and we say this every time, the time just flies right by. And so I'm wondering, are there one or two golden nuggets of inspiration that you would like to share for the women or men who will listen to this once it's released?
Sure. I think first of all, I would just encourage anyone out there that regardless of how dire your situation may seem, there is always hope. There is always hope, no matter what. It may be the tiniest little glimmer of hope, but there's always hope. And not only is there always hope, but you can make it. You are not alone. And I think that sometimes we feel isolated because of the situations we find ourselves in. And I just would encourage anyone out there that you're not alone. There is a community that is just widespread, that's there to help you and support you. All you have to do is reach out, and they are there to catch you when you feel like you're falling.
Thank you so much, Ashley. This has been a very meaningful and moving conversation. We appreciate you being candid, authentic, and putting your message and your avocation out there for folks to learn from, grow because of, and reach out for help. So thank you so much for being so open in sharing. And I know Robin and I will be taking your message with us and amplifying it in our communities. And to our audience out there, look for ways to support women, because we don't know how women are hurting. They may not always be able to openly talk because the pain is too much. And keep in mind, when we truly get to know women and listen to the subtext, there are ways for us to discern and help. And as women, we are raising sons. When we are in situations like this, we also have the opportunity to break the cycle and raise our sons to be different. We always talk about how to help women. But what if we flip the script and think about how do we raise our sons to break the cycle? And how do we help them as they grow up to be men of courage, to be men of value and faith, so that they honor their family and they don't harm their family? because the family is a part of who they are. And truly, the quality of a man's life is directly predicated to the quality of his marriage and the love and compassion the wife has for him. So it's in a boy's self-interest, a man's self-interest, for us to help break the cycle and flip the script. And I invite all the women out there to join us in taking Ashley's message and creating a transformation journey so that we each can build a family, a community, and a human society that is truly honoring of women, family, and our collective society.